everyone, welcome to Wicked West Books. My name is Meg West, and this is my July wrap-up. For the month of July, I managed to read 9 books, largely thanks in part to the biannual Bibliothon and the Booktubeathon, and I'm really proud of that. It got me kind of almost caught up for my reading goal. I just need to use this month to try and get ahead so that when I don't read anything in November, because I'm doing NaNoWriMo, I don't fall miserably behind. Okay, so the first book that I read during the month of July was The Subtle Knife by Philip Pullman. This is book 2 in the His Dark Materials trilogy, and I was a long time overdue for a reread of this trilogy. This is my favorite trilogy in all existence, and I absolutely loved my reread of the second book. A lot of things happened that I forgot had happened, and it was just a very nice book to go back and reread. Then, as most of you know, I do a buddy read once a month with my husband. We take turns picking which book it is to read. Last month, June, was my husband's choice, and I did not get around to the book that he chose. So I read it at the beginning of July just to keep us on the same page. The book that he chose is Grave Peril by Jim Butcher. This is book 3 in the Dresden Files series. I have not read books 1 or 2, but he said that book 3 is where it really takes off and you get to see how the whole series is going to be. That Dresden becomes a more ironed out character and it's just better written than the first 2, and I still wasn't overly impressed by it. I did manage to finish this book, whereas the first book I got about 85% through the book and just haven't picked it up to finish that last 15%. It wasn't bad, it's just the problem I had with it was pacing. It plateaued. It started off really fast and then just kept coming, and it didn't give me any time to relax or think about what I had just read or really any place to stop, and I didn't enjoy not having any place to think about the plot. So after that, I found myself in the teeniest bit of a reading slump again, and I did not want that, so I picked up a very easy read that I knew would be easy so that I could get back on the reading horse. And that book was Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. I devoured this book. I finished it in a day and I absolutely loved it. We went out to Barnes & Noble, and instead of shopping for new books, I picked up a copy off the shelf to read because I was so invested in this book. It got off to a slightly slow start because I did not relate to Kath so much at the beginning when she is letting her anxiety overrule her, and it was just hard for me to relate to that. But once she actually started making friends, once she started getting into routine, her anxiety levels dropped down to where about mine are, so it made it so much easier for me to connect to Kath as a character, and I just loved the whole story of her finding herself at college and writing fan fiction, her favorite book series turned movie series. The process of her all around writing this fan fiction was great, and I highly recommend Fangirl. So after that, I read Coresana by Charles Wellington II, and I do not have this book because the author actually asked if I could send it back to him with all my scribbles in it for the bad editing so that he could get the editing fixed, and I think that's amazing, and I look forward to seeing it fixed and reading book 2 when it comes out next year sometime. Coresana is a Dungeons & Dragons book. Basically, it is just a campaign that is turned into a book form, and it is about CK, who is psionic, which is basically the same thing as telekinetic in that he can manipulate things with his mind, and he just wants to be an adventurer and a hero, and he wants to rescue the people, and he has got a lot to learn before he can get good at that, but with the help of some new friends, he manages to get onto that path. And then it was mere days before the biannual Bibliothon and the Booktubeathon started, so I didn't pick up anything because I was too excited for my TBR pile for the readathons to read anything else. So the first day of the biannual Bibliothon, I picked up and finished Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. I read Fangirl earlier in the month, and I was really looking forward to reading Carry On. Carry On is the gay fan fiction that Kath writes during Fangirl about the book turned to movie series that she's been in love with her entire life. And I loved Carry On. I did. It was great. I just had a little bit of issue with the ending. It was very abrupt. But the overall story of Simon figuring out that he's in love with his roommate was absolutely adorable. And it's got a lot of action and fun stuff in it, as well as a little bit of a mystery. And really, if you read it as a fan fiction, it's absolutely great. But as a canon novel, the ending was a little bit abrupt. I still absolutely loved it, and I absolutely love Simon and Baz together. After Carry On, the next book that I really wanted to read was The Amber Spyglass by Philip Pullman. This is the third and final book in the His Dark Materials trilogy, and I really wanted to reread this book because I knew that I remembered very little of it. This is the book that probably has the most adult content in it, at the least that can be understood by children to it, and it has been years since I've reread this trilogy, and I really did not remember a whole lot of what was in this book. So it was really nice to go back and read it and fill those gaps that were missing in my memory. I still absolutely love the trilogy. And it was nice to reread the whole thing after I don't know how many years. But as much as I loved it, it was a much slower paced read that I did kind of have to force myself through to get to it at the end. So I decided to pick up the shortest book on my TBR, which was Saga Volume 1, which is kind of a Romeo and Juliet in that they are from warring houses, warring planets actually, and they got together and fell in love. Fortunately for the readers, these happen to be a lot more grown up than Romeo and Juliet and don't make quite the same stupid decisions. And it was a fun little start to seeing their adventure through space, trying to protect this baby from basically an entire universe who wants to kill them and capture the baby. In addition, this book had a lot of very adult themes in it and some nudity in it, and honestly, I had no complaints. And the final two books that I read during the month of July was first my buddy read with my husband for the month, which my husband has still not read. That book being Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo, and my final read of the month was Crooked Kingdoms by Leigh Bardugo. These books take place in the Grisha world, the first book in that series being Shadow and Bone. But you don't have to read the original trilogy to understand what is going on in these books. These books start off as a very high-stakes heist that these kids are put through for a whole lot of money if they can manage to pull it off. And then the second book basically is the repercussions of having gone into that heist and with it ending the way that it did. I have to say that I absolutely loved the characters in this book, Inej being my absolute favorite. She's probably one of my top favorite characters of all time. I absolutely loved her, and Wylan, I loved him, and it was a really fun read and I really liked it, and the different characters had their own voices to tell the story, and it was very fun to read these. A little bit slow. It took me a little while to get through them. I think it took me 4 days to read both of them together. Not the best ones for a readathon, but still very enjoyable books. Very decent reading month for July. I'm looking forward to doing just as much in August. August is also the month of my birthday, which is August 20th, so I am looking forward to all the book presents that I am going to receive for my birthday. That look is for my parents who watch my videos, and my husband and my sister. Books are always good presents. So yeah, especially when I'm trying to do my best to be on a book buying ban where I only buy one book a month. Hopefully I will have a large haul video for you at the end of the month. If not a big deal. So yeah, if you participated in the biannual Bibliothon or the Booktubeathon, just let me know below. I would love to check out some of the video challenges or just your TBR or your wrap-up to see how you did. So if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and feel free to subscribe to my channel if you have not done so already. I post videos every Thursday or else I lose books. Thank you guys for watching. Have a wicked day.